You know, every single developer knows this feeling. You're learning to code, things are clicking, but then you just get stuck. So in the next few minutes, we're going to break down the biggest mistakes that hold beginners back and show you how to shift from feeling totally frustrated to becoming a confident, problem-solving pro. Let's dive right in.
So does this look familiar? I mean, you've spent hours, maybe even weeks on tutorials. You know the syntax, you can follow along just fine, but the second you face a blank screen for a new project, you just freeze up. This is a super common trap called tutorial hell, and trust me, if this is you, you are not alone.
Look, tutorials are a fantastic start. They give you a little structure, some of those quick wins that feel so good. But here's the catch, right? They teach you how to replicate a solution somebody else already figured out, not how to actually solve a problem for yourself. And that can create this false sense of mastery. To really, truly learn, you have to take those training wheels off and start building on your own, even if you fall a few times.
Okay, so you've finally written some code that actually runs without any errors. Aha, what a great feeling. But this leads us right into the first huge mistake, what I call the "it works" trap. This is that moment where you prioritize getting any answer over getting a good answer. And let me tell you, that's a habit that can create massive problems down the line. The classic book, Clean Code, just puts it perfectly. Keeping your code clean isn't just some nice-to-have optional thing. No, it's a matter of professional survival. It's really the fundamental difference between building systems you can actually maintain and scale and, well, getting completely bogged down in your own mess.
This really gets at what's called the primal conundrum. You feel all this pressure to make a mess just to meet a deadline. But here's the crazy paradox. Messy code instantly, and I mean instantly, slows you down. Clean code, on the other hand, is easy to debug, easy to maintain, and it just reads clearly. So the key takeaway is simple. The only way to go fast is to stay clean.
And this right here is a perfect example of the broken windows theory. You see, one little piece of messy code is like the first broken window in a building. It basically signals that nobody cares. And that just encourages more neglect, more decay, and before you know it, that one little shortcut has snowballed into a code base that's basically impossible to manage.
So how do you escape this trap? Well, it starts with really simple, consistent habits. First off, use clear, descriptive names. Call your variables and functions what they actually do. Next, keep your functions small and focused. If a function is doing 5 different things, break it into 5 separate functions. Also, use tools that can automatically format your code for you. And above all, always remember, your goal is to write code that's readable for humans, not just executable by the machine. All right, moving on from writing clean code to fixing broken code. This brings us to our next big point, the art of debugging. Look, every single programmer deals with bugs, everyone. But the pros, they have a different perspective. They don't see debugging as a chore. They see it as a core skill. It's a sign that you're pushing your limits and actually making progress.
We have all been there. A giant wall of red text floods your console and your heart just sinks. But you have to shift your perspective here. Those error messages, they are not your enemy. They are your best clues. Seriously, think of them as the start of a treasure map that's going to lead you directly to the solution.
So here's a 4-step process that works for pretty much any bug. First, read the entire error message. Don't just skim it. It often tells you exactly where the problem is. Second, isolate the issue. Test your code in tiny chunks to pinpoint where it breaks. Third, trace your data. Just use simple print statements to see what's happening at each step. And fourth, and this one is my personal favorite, try rubber ducking. Explain your code out loud to a rubber duck or any inanimate object. You'd be absolutely shocked how often just saying the logic out loud reveals the flaw. Okay, this next mistake is incredibly common. You find a solution on the site like Stack Overflow, you copy it, you paste it, and hey, it works. But this is such a dangerous shortcut. Copying code you don't understand is kind of like building a house with mystery parts. You have no clue if it's stable, and you learn absolutely nothing about construction in the process.
So here's a simple, really powerful alternative. Next time you find a helpful code snippet, don't just copy it, actually type it out yourself line by line. This small act forces you to slow down, to engage with the logic, and to actually internalize how it all works. It is the difference between active learning and just passive copying. You know that image of the lone coder in a dark room just typing away? It's a powerful stereotype for sure, but it's also a complete myth. Modern software development is a team sport, period. Trying to go it all alone is one of the biggest mistakes you can make, and it will dramatically slow down your growth. So let's start with a crucial tool, version control.
If you're not using a system like Git, which basically saves a complete history of all your code changes, you're coding with one hand tied behind your back. It's the industry standard for a reason. It lets you collaborate with others, track every single change, and safely experiment with new ideas without breaking what you already have. It is an absolute must-learn skill.
Oh man, this quote is hilariously and often painfully true. We all do it. We avoid reading the documentation because we think it's faster to just jump in and figure things out. But that is a recipe for total frustration. Taking that 1 hour to actually read the manual will, I promise you, save you 10 hours of banging your head against the wall later on.
And this is maybe the most important thing. Don't code in a bubble. You have to share your work, even when it's not perfect. Go join online communities, post on forums, or find a coding buddy. Getting feedback from other developers is genuinely one of the fastest ways to learn, and it's such a powerful reminder that everyone struggles. You are not alone on this journey.
So all of these tips, writing clean code, debugging effectively, collaborating with others, they're all pointing to something much bigger. They're about a fundamental shift in your mindset, moving from being someone who just writes code to becoming a true software craftsman. I want you to consider this statistic for just a moment. As a developer, you will spend over 10 times more time reading code than you will spend writing it. Let that sink in. 10 to 1. This completely flips your priorities, doesn't it? Your goal isn't just to write code that a computer understands. Your goal is to write code that another human can understand effortlessly.
And this brings us to a guiding principle for any professional programmer. It's called the Boy Scout rule. And it's so simple. Always leave the code a little bit cleaner than you found it. Maybe you just rename a confusing variable, or break up a long function. If every developer on a team just does this, the entire code base just keeps getting better and better over time.
You know, ultimately, everything we've just talked about boils down to one simple word: care. That's it. Clean code is simply code that has been cared for. It shows that someone took the time to think about the little details. This isn't about being perfect. It's about taking pride in your craft and showing a little respect for the next person who's going to read your work. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. You are an author, and every single line of code you write is telling a story. The question is, what story will your code tell its next reader? Will it be some confusing, frustrating mystery, or will it be a clear, elegant narrative? The choice is all yours. Thanks for watching.